उधर हाउस ऑफ कॉमन्स विच प्रश्न काल दौरान प्रधानमंत्री जस्टिन ट्रूडो ते उन्हां दी लिबरल पार्टी नूं देश अंदर वधदी महंगाई ते सवालों का सामना करना पिया। इस दौरान कंजरवेटिव पार्टी के आगुआं वालों लिबरल सरकार तो घरां दी वध रहीआं कीमतां संबंधी सवाल किए गए, जिस दे जवाब विच प्रधानमंत्री जस्टिन ट्रूडो ने इसका कारण कोविड महामारी नूं दस्सिआ।
The Prime Minister talks about land prices with relation to supply chain. Our land isn't affected by supply chain prices. This Prime Minister has, in fact, overseen the largest increase in home and land prices of any Prime Minister. It's driving home ownership out of reach for Canadians, but it's also driving the price of rent up for Canadians, meaning that they can't afford food for their families, gas for their car to get to work, and certainly can't afford to save for their dreams. So the question is very simple for this Prime Minister. Is he going to pass the buck on this housing bubble, or will he just admit that it's just inflation?
Yes, supply chains have an important role to play in the global inflationary crisis we're facing right now. But so too does this pandemic we just came through, something the member for Leeds Grenville did not mention at all. We know that this pandemic has had a significant impact on housing prices, on challenges faced by families. That's why priority one on fighting inflation and on growing the economy needs to be ending this pandemic once and for all. Something the vast majority of Canadians understand goes through vaccination. Unfortunately, Conservatives don't seem to get that.
The folks who elected this Conservative for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands and Rideau Lakes have the highest vaccination rate, not just in this province, but in this country.
And I congratulate the constituents of the member opposite for being so strongly vaccinated. Maybe he could use some of his constituents to convince some of his colleagues to get vaccinated.
Land does not have supply chains. It is already underneath our feet. And yet land prices have inflated 20% during a year, driving housing inflation. Other countries had COVID disruptions, yet according to Bloomberg, Canada has the second worst housing bubble, and Toronto and Vancouver are more unaffordable than almost every city on earth.
Unbelievable.
Why does Canada have the second worst housing bubble in the world? Is it just inflation?
The Conservatives put forward a housing plan that would have made homes more expensive for Canadians. They proposed a tax giveaway for selling rental properties that would have encouraged speculation and created a financial incentive for wealthy Canadians to turn houses into investment vehicles rather than places to live. Mr. Speaker, politicians in glass houses should not throw stones.